If you are looking for the latest information for the Portland market, this is it. We will be diving into what's happening with buyers and sellers right now, some tips and tricks, and some advice I would definitely give you if you are looking to buy or sell here in Portland, Oregon. So first off, we want to set up the stage for what's kind of happening macroeconomically. So as of right now, we have a downward trend when it comes to inflation. We saw about a 0.1% decrease in inflation this last month, which is fantastic. It's a ongoing trend where we are hoping to continue to see that go down and hopefully hit that 2% that the Federal Reserve is aiming to do. Now with that, we also had the Federal Reserve meeting, and we saw that they are kind of a little bit more hesitant to do another rate hike. And with that, we're hoping that we've hit that terminal rate where the Federal Reserve will stick with that rate for a prolonged period of time. And once they start seeing more of the jobs numbers go down, then at that point they will probably back off a little bit more. They just need to see a little bit more of the economic carnage that might need to happen in order to get inflation under control. Now, stepping into a more local view of this, we are still seeing a lot of activity when it comes to the buying and selling of homes. However, it is significantly down from last year. Remember, we were in a much different place last year because interest rates were so low, and with the increase of interest rates, it has definitely tampered down that buyer demand. However, with that, we've also seen a decrease in listings, about 28% decrease in listings overall in the Portland metro area. This way, it's really kept property values around the same, although we've seen the median sale price dip by about 5.4%. Now, we are still in the middle of the hot season when it comes to the buying and selling of homes, so keep that in mind and know that there is some seasonality to this. And for this next couple of months, we'll probably see, once we hit the end of July into August, things will probably slow down because of the seasonality of how things work, and then pick back up in the fall. And with that, I'm hoping that we are going to see a little bit more inventory pop on, but the major factors that are pushing a lot of sellers not to do that is because they've already locked in a very low interest rate. It doesn't make sense for them to move and have a higher mortgage when they don't need to. With that, we've still got about 1.9 months of inventory, and we saw a bump of about 0.3 months of inventory increase from last month. However, we really need to get this up closer to the about 2 to 4 months to be in a better equilibrium and still have more inventory. And again, for the buyer's market, you need to be at 6 months or above in terms of that inventory. So we're still seeing multiple offer situations. And with that, I'm just a little bit curious about your buying experience or selling experience here in Portland, Oregon. If you want to leave a comment down below. Now, when it comes to advice for sellers right now, I would recommend that you list now and or wait until a little bit later. So what happens with the buyer demand is usually it will start to decrease once we hit the end of July into August. For whatever reason, that is the seasonality of the market. So keep that in mind that you're going to want to list sooner rather than later if you are going to list now. So with that, if you do decide to list a little bit later, aim for around the end of August into September, so that way everyone's kind of getting back into the groove with school, and it is usually when the buyer demand will come back. As of right now, we're seeing about 67% of those listings move off the market within 2 weeks. And this is incredibly important for you to be part of that 67% is to prep your listing. A lot of houses I've seen on the market for the past couple of months is that they will not price accordingly or not price aggressively enough. And what happens is that they have to start chasing the market down. And this is not a good position to be in, because the longer days on market, the longer that you're going to have random people kind of come in and show your house, things of that nature. So it's always a good idea to price a little bit more aggressively or talk to your agent a little bit more about what that best plan is. If you ever have questions about that, feel free to reach out as well. Now, diving into some advice for buyers right now, we are still seeing multiple offer situations, especially when it comes to really pretty houses on the block, and just know that you will be facing some level of competition. Now, if you're looking for a little less competition, it's always a good idea to be looking at the homes that have been sitting on the market for 2 weeks or more. Those are good opportunities for you to come in and negotiate a little bit more with the seller, depending on the seller's mentality. And with that, if you are shopping, make sure that you are shopping well below your budget. I'm usually saying about 30 to 50 grand below what you're aiming for. So that way, when you do find that house, that you have a little bit more room to go up to. Now, it's always a good idea, financially speaking, is to not have too much of a mortgage or keep your expenses lower than you do need. But just note that you will be facing some level of competition. This is going to be normal, and it will continue to be normal until we start to see the inventory go above that 6 months. And right now we're sitting up at that 1.9 months. So it's going to take a little while for us to get to that 6 months if we ever do get to that point. So keeping that in mind, it's always a good idea or always good to understand the fact that you may have to put in multiple offers. At least it's not like last year where we were seeing 15 to 20 offers. Now it's closer to maybe 3 to 5 offers if it's a very popular house. But if it's a less popular house, you usually have maybe 1 to 3 offers. So it's an opportunity for you to really get in, especially with the interest rates going up and down so much. It's created a lot of volatility, which has created a lot of the scarcity mindset for a lot of buyers. So diving into the submarkets of Portland, we see that the market action index has been increasing slightly across the board. And for that, just to note, for the market action index, the higher the number it is, the more of a seller's market it is. The lower the number it is, the closer to a buyer's market it is. Now, with this, we'll probably continue to see this go up a little bit and then start decreasing, especially since we'll see the seasonality once we get into kind of the July-August timeframe. And with that, we do see that the median days on market have been decreasing or being relatively flat for the most part. So keeping that in mind, note that will probably go back up again. Again, we're hitting the seasonality of things. Overall, we're starting to see a little bit more inventory, which is fantastic. But again, we need to get closer to the 2 to 4 months of inventory in order for us to be in a more balanced market. And for those who are waiting for the massive crash, we would, again, need to see a large issue pop up in terms of inventory in order for us to see that. And we would probably also have to see the affordability really come back into range. If we saw interest rates drop down to 4 to 5%, it would probably create a huge amount of that demand to come back. If you have any questions whatsoever, I would love to hear your comments down below. And if you have any other questions, feel free to message me directly. I'll have my contact information too. Thanks so much for watching.